And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world here today and taking a look at some clips from the news, which I will share with those of you who are able to join us on the live portion, which takes place Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University on YouTube, apparently, as well as at Coffee Talk Chat on X, formerly known as Twitter, and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. Joined today by Daniel, sitting in the chair behind me, keeping me company. Daniel, the rescue cat, grooming himself for a nap. Now, I'll go ahead and acknowledge some of the people that have chosen to chime in so far, as I do try to read through as many of the comments as is reasonable for the benefit of those of you who are listening and not able to see. I see that Helter has joined us here today, as well as Urban Cowboy. Dragon is here. Rodney is here. He says it is 6 in the morning in New Zealand. Brian is here. Kimberly, Old Guy, Monkey. Donna has joined us. Says it's been a while. Yes, it has. It's been a while since Donna has been able to join us on the live portion. Glad you could make it today. Thanks to Bo, if you are watching. Bo sent something to my P.O. box, and in it was silver coins. Republic of the Congo. He sent silver coins to the P.O. box and something for the cats. Unbelievable. Thank you very much, Bo. Very much. That is incredibly appreciated. I see that George has joined us as well as we get ready to dive off into the news and see what's going on in the world today. And of course, one of the big topics of discussion, no matter where you are in the world, is what the hell is going on in America's elections, because, like it or not, what happens, because America is a big enough country, just like China or the United Kingdom or Russia, it's big enough that what happens here affects pretty much the whole planet, unfortunately, because everything is linked together. So, yeah, top news, unfortunately, is still Joe Biden. That's right, Joe Biden, sleepy Joe, grumpy old Uncle Joe. And this is a Fox News article. It says presidential debate showed that Democrats lied about Biden, and someone blames Barack Obama. I don't know who, though. It says aides from the Biden administration revealed to Axios that the president can only be dependably engaged between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. and is more likely to have verbal miscues and become fatigued outside his standard operating hours. And that's in quotation. The Biden administration and the Democrats have lied to us every single step of the way. They've been hiding this, according to Fox News contributor Jason Chaffetz from his show, The Big Weekend. I blame Barack Obama. He's the one that told us that Joe Biden was going to be the guy, but he's in obvious decline. They should have wrapped this up last year, and Joe Biden should be on his victory lap this year and let the process play itself out, the former Utah congressman added. I don't know about a victory lap. I don't know what kind of victory lap Biden could have with his little Joe jog that he does, where he shuffles 5 steps and looks like he's about to fall over. Joe Biden has been on the decline ever since his brain surgery. Okay, you remember he's had 2 brain surgeries for aneurysm. Who remembers this? 2 brain surgeries for aneurysm. And after his surgery is when all of the blustering and hair sniffing and all of the weirdness began. That's when it all began. That's when he started getting really bizarre. And that was a long time ago. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was trying to look it up. Maybe someone can help me out here. I believe the first surgery was in 1988. The first surgery was in 1988. And I see that Tuck has joined us, as well as D'Lo, who reminds us, thumbs up. Please do, guys, if you don't mind. If you can give it a thumbs up, or, stars or whatever you got. Fluke Man is here. And Tuck says stage 4 Alzheimer's. It's more than that. I believe it was 1988, right? The first brain surgery. And ever since then, he's been wonky. Okay? The smell and hair, the weird comments, off-color comments that don't make sense or that sound creepy, or the inability to remember things or jumbling things up, and all of that started with the brain surgeries. This guy has been no good since the 80s. Okay, he should have retired then. But they kept him as a senator, they ran him through as a vice president, and they ran him through as the president. All right. Unbelievable. And Tuck says victory for them is destroying the U.S. so it can be bought piecemeal for pennies on the dollar. Pretty much. Biden acknowledged his poor debate performance at a rally in North Carolina. Really? Quote, I don't walk as easily as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to, but I know how to tell the truth. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I know right from wrong. I'm not sure about that, Joe. And I know how to do this job. Well, technically, he knows how to do the job. I know how to get things done. Well, I know how to do the job. I know how to get things done. Wow, that's the quote of the year. Joe Biden, I know how to tell the truth. I know right from wrong. Well, you know what? He probably does know how to tell the truth. And he does know right and wrong, but that doesn't mean that he is. It doesn't mean he is being honest, and it doesn't mean that he is ethically discerning right from wrong, as opposed to pandering or obeying the people pulling the strings or whatever the hell his agenda is. Even an evil person knows the difference between right and wrong. They just choose not to do the right thing. So yeah, technically he didn't lie here. I don't walk as easily as I used to. No, he doesn't. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. No, he doesn't. I don't debate as well as I used to. No, he doesn't. I know how to tell the truth. Technically true. I know right from wrong. Technically true. I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. Technically true. Technically true. Andrew Bates, a spokesperson for the White House, told Axios that there are two versions of President Biden. There is one Joe Biden who works his heart out, fighting for families like the one he grew up in Scranton, and who, because of his determination, experience, and decency, I said decay by accident, Freudian slip, keeps achieving unprecedented results for them, Bates said as he crawled across the floor on broken glass so that he could kiss someone's behind. Oh my God. The country is in a very dangerous position right now with the President of the United States in this cognitive state that everybody can see around the world, Fox News contributor Katie Povich said. Democrats have known about the problem for months. Now we're stuck with Biden, and now they're really in a pinch. Yeah, they are, because here's your alternative. If they run Biden, they're going to lose. If they run Kamala Harris, they're going to lose. If they replace Biden with Gavin Newsom, they're going to lose. If they replace Biden with Michelle Obama, they have to get rid of Kamala Harris, and they will thereby be admitting that she was a diversity hire in that action, and they're going to lose. Doesn't mean they'll lose the Electoral College, but they will lose the popular vote. The Electoral College is rigged anyway. I think we all know that by now. As I catch up a couple of comments. Oh, man. Helter says they're weak excuses. Biden's the one who picked the rules and the venue for the debate, so it's still his fault if CNN was just not the right choice. Well, I mean, they did everything they could. His handlers did everything they could to set the debate up in his favor, but he still blew it because they can't fix him. Urban says the only thing left for Biden to do is declare himself a woman and begin dressing in drag. The queens will come out to the polls and save them. Oh my God. And Dragon says what gets me is people saying they would still vote for Biden. Yeah, because orange man bad. And Tuck says they're weasel words. Weasel words. Rodney said Sleepy Creepy Joe has long been a puppet for the establishment. Now in its elder abuse. Now it is elder abuse. I would feel sorry for him if he wasn't such a vile person. Yeah, he wouldn't be there if he wasn't dirty anyway. You know what I mean? If he wasn't so dirty. And I'll tell you something too here. The first sentence is what really caught my attention out of all of this. That threw me because I don't generally read through these articles before I talk about them. And, it keeps things organic. You get a natural reaction that way. So I was shocked by his quote because I had not heard that. But what caught my attention was the first sentence here, okay? According to the aides of the president, and quoted, the president can only be dependably engaged between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. and is more likely to have verbal miscues and become fatigued outside of his standard operating hours. You know what's between 10 to 4? You know what's between 10 to 4? Who knows? Who knows what happens between 10 to 4? I'm about to exercise some experience here really quickly. Kimberly says, do you think Biden had an earpiece? It could be, because it's possible, because you can have a hidden earpiece, all right? And there are times where he looks like he's staring down and deeply concentrating. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he was at least getting prompts. I doubt he could repeat what he hears word for word, if you catch my drift. Fluke Man says Joe probably doesn't need to fake anything for plausible deniability. Think all the presidents has done something illegal, so why would Joe, of all the previous presidents, need to pretend he's losing it? I don't know. But it's an interesting theory. And Raccoon says he married his babysitter. That's true. Doesn't get more creepy than that, which means he was attracted to her when she was 15. Joe was a sicko. Okay. And Sean's here. Glad you could make it. Okay. Between 10 and 2, all right? I assume, my wife and I, we get up at 5:30 in the morning out here. Most people don't have to get up that early. And the Jericho's asking, what happens between 5 and 10? I'm going to tell you. And Rodney says those 10 to 4, excuse me. Rodney says 10 to 4 hours sounds suspicious, perhaps that when the chemicals keep him perked up. You're close. And Puck U says Gunsmoke Marathon. There's a Gunsmoke channel on Pluto. He can watch it 24 hours a day. Old people like Gunsmoke. Anyways, it's not a bad show. 20 seasons. Gunsmoke, back when a season was like 36 episodes, not like 6 like you get now. I'm assuming he doesn't get up at the crack of dawn. All right. He probably gets up at about 9 o'clock. I'm guessing. Okay. Somewhere between 8 and 9. Takes his cocktail. That's when you get your meds. You take your meds, you eat breakfast. When I worked for the JJA and we had clients on meds, that was the formula. Same thing when I worked in mental health. They get up, take their meds, eat breakfast. Helps them digest it. Okay? The second round of meds is usually sometime after 2 o'clock. When you're taking a lot, it's usually sometime after 2. Okay? But by then, your daily tolerance has already been met, and that's just a stabilizer. and then there's one more round, usually before you eat dinner, unless there's something specific that should not be taken with meals, and it has to be doled out at a different time. So yeah, he gets up in the morning, takes his meds, has his breakfast. He's about as on point as he's going to get. Then even if he has a second dose around lunchtime, his body's already absorbed so much, it's running him down. That's a lot of work. Your body to digest that, your liver, your kidneys, it's a lot of work to run that down. So the second dose, it doesn't perk you back up. You're too tired. And George is laughing. He says, ho, 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 yes, Jolly Green Giant. And here's Mars talking about Sleepy Joe. Apparently, Sleepy Joe is only cognitively functional between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. according to his own aides. And he has this fantastic quote that he gave at a rally in North Carolina that I read, which is all technically true. Technically, I don't walk as easily as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. That's true. Reading this off a teleprompter, by the way. But I know how to tell the truth, technically true. I know right from wrong, technically true. And I know how to do this job. I know how to get things done. Technically true. Doesn't mean he's doing it. Doesn't mean he's being honest. Just because you know the difference between right and wrong and you know how to tell the truth doesn't mean you will. Just because you know how to do the job doesn't mean you will. And George says, Merry Christmas. Hey, Christmas in July. Remember when they used to do Christmas in July, all the department stores? Oh, no. And Mars says, oh, my God, Sleepy Joe is on a rampage again. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Well, he works better with the teleprompter, but you can't do that at the debate. It's too obvious. It's too obvious. But that quote right there, like I said, everything he said there, that's equivocation. That's equivocation, by the way. Politicians are very good at it. He's technically telling the truth. But is it true for him? Is it true for him? Because if he doesn't adhere to any of that, then it's not honest. It's only honest for him if he does it, but it's technically true if he says it. Puck says, Biden reminds me of that Simpsons episode when the townsfolk thought Monty Burns was a glowing alien because of the drugs he was on. Oh, no. And Jericho says, as my mom always says, knowing isn't the same as doing. Correct. Kimberly says, not a Joe fan by any stretch of the imagination, but what his handlers are doing is simply cruel. This is elder abuse, plain and simple. They prop him up. And it happens. It happens with a lot of people. You'd be surprised, even in areas of life that you would not expect. Take a look at Stan Lee. I'm sure most people are familiar with who Stan Lee was. He passed away not too long ago. Stan Lee, the long-time, decades-long writer who was at the head at Marvel Comics for a while before he sold it. But one of the big ones from comics. Or, for example, Nichelle Nichols. Any Star Trek fans out there? Nichelle Nichols is a good example of this too. Towards the end of their lives, their handlers were running them into the ground, taking them all over, doing autograph sessions at conventions, comic conventions, and other conventions all across the country, doing signings and selling and sales. Kimberly says Elvis is a good example too. Exactly. You see where I'm going with this. When Nichelle Nichols, before she died, again, Uhura from Star Trek, her family had said that if you got her autograph within the last 3 or 4 years, she probably didn't even see a dime of it. There were lawsuits all over the place from family members fighting about that. And Kimberly's a Trekker. Trekkie. They used to call them Trekkers once upon a time. And Rodney says Stan Lee was terribly treated towards the end of his life. Exactly. And they ran him around. Mars says Muhammad Ali ran him around all over the place. Sign this, sign this, sign this. I've seen it done with athletes. You know, when they're really, really old, don't pander to that. Don't get those autographs. You know, not that anybody can afford them, because the amounts they charge now. You know, once upon a time in another lifetime in the early 90s, I also worked with Great Eastern Conventions, which they used to do comic book conventions on the East Coast. Back in those days, autographs were free. Let that sink in. If you paid admission, free autographs from whoever they had. Big names: Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, you know, Jim Shooter. And Cruising says, just got back from his brother taking him to Peru. Oh, wow, for his birthday. It's amazing how much cheaper food and housing is down there compared to here. Way better quality food for way less. That sounds great, Cruising. Sounds like you had a good time. Raccoon says, what a shame. I met her in the early 2000s at Chiller Theater. She was really cool with her smile still lit up the room. Yeah, from what I understand, she was a sweetheart. I've only seen her a couple of times when I used to do, you know, again, Great Eastern Conventions and the big Star Trek shows that used to go to the Boston area in the early to mid 90s. Puck said, no sympathy for criminals, no matter how old they are. And Urban Angst, unfortunately, didn't know that about Nichelle Nichols. No, but that's what look it up. The family is probably still fighting. She lost her house. Some guy contracted her house out from under her or something crazy. It's absolutely terrible what's been done to these people as they get exploited in their senior years. Speaking of exploitation, going to bounce to Massachusetts here, and we're going to state the obvious. This is about the stupidest thing I've seen. Tribune News article. Brian says liberals. Okay. Tribune News Service. Massachusetts senators say taxpayers may be unfairly footing bill for migrants with financial sponsors. You think? Do I even need to read the rest of this? And when they say Massachusetts senators, they mean within Massachusetts's own private gubernatorial authority. They don't mean the senators who represent Massachusetts for the federal government, just to be clear. So a group of Massachusetts senators are demanding that the governor review how many migrant families being supported by taxpayers entered the U.S. on the condition of having their expenses covered by a sponsor, and that she make those people pay up. The 11 state senators, led by Democrat Michael Moore and Republican Minority Leader Bruce Tarr, sent a letter to Governor Maura Healey and Housing and Livable Communities Secretary Edward Augustus, calling for accountability for those who have made commitments to provide financial support for migrants under the federal humanitarian parole program, but have not fulfilled that commitment. You know something? That parole program allows for people who are already migrants, illegal immigrants that are here pending trial, to sponsor for someone else to come here. We read about this a couple of months back, which shouldn't be allowed anyways. So even if they pay anything for the new illegal immigrants coming in, it's still all being paid for by taxpayers. This is about the most boneheaded, stupid thing I've seen. Taxpayers may be unfairly footing bills for migrants. You think? Taxpayers are unfairly footing the bill for every damn thing in this country, including illegal immigrants. Okay? I mean, get your bucket list out. Or I don't know if bucket list would be the right term for it, but you know what I mean. Get your pet peeve list out. I try to avoid saying pet peeve because I say it so much because I have so damn many of them. I mean, more more lawmakers acting like they're doing something here by pretending to be outraged that, oh my God, tell me it isn't so. Taxpayers may be unfairly footing the bill for something? You think? Puck says Massachusetts is the modern day Gomorrah. Yeah, Massachusetts, California, Washington State. Pick one, New York City or New York, period. Urban says when the YouTube commercial comes on, my connection drops. Really? That's weird. Oh, and Cruising says it was amazing and awesome, especially Machu Picchu talking about his vacation. Body didn't hold up to it. Oh no, got a respiratory infection, altitude sickness, and a stress fracture in a femur, not in bug out shape. Well, you learned something though. And I assume you still had a good time. And Rodney says, note that illegals are always called migrants by the Democrats, trying to act as if these people are legitimate. Exactly. My wife and I went to Cozumel many, many years ago, cruising, when I still had money before the IRS destroyed my life. But we were on a cruise. We were on a Carnival cruise. And we were supposed to go somewhere and couldn't because they outran a hurricane. And they were like, yeah, because a cruise ship can do that. And they were like, well, we're going to redirect and we're going to lose one of your dropping points. So we'll go to Cozumel instead. And we'll make arrangements for you. And so we did go to Cozumel. We did go to the pyramids there. We climbed the pyramids. We did all that. And they had a security detail because it was outside of Carnival's jurisdiction. And they told us that on the bus. They were like, hey, listen, this is not when you go on a cruise, wherever you stop, whatever country it is, Jamaica, Bahamas, whatever, you're actually on the cruise ship's territory. You're not really in the country. If you were really in the country in a lot of those places, you'd be in danger. And so they had a security detail on that bus that were like, we're going to the pyramids, stay with the group. The security detail or the security is here at the request of Carnival to make sure that their passengers stay safe. So don't worry. Lantern of Liberty says, I love when people say they don't understand immigration. I'm starch white. That's when I pull out my old green card. I keep it for that reason. Sweden, and did it legally, and it isn't cheap. And good for you, Lantern of Liberty. Exactly. There is a huge difference between somebody who goes to a country to be part of that country and integrates and learns the language and gets a job and fills out all the paperwork and does whatever they need to do. I can't argue with those people, but you sneak in here and you sit around for decades and you don't do shit except spend taxpayer money, man. I got a problem. And Mars says his friend said he's been taxed way too much. I had to remind him, you ain't got no job, man. Oh, no. As I catch up a couple of comments, George says, still waiting on courts to decide on Nick Gare case. Thoughts? I don't know what to say about that. And Kimberly says, I found it hilarious when the migrants were bused to Martha's Vineyard. They didn't stay there long either. They didn't stay there long either, did they? That didn't last. That did not last. Unbelievable. Nick Gare is some guy who does like pranks on the internet or something, right? I don't really know much about it. But, we're not done with corruption yet. We're not done with corruption yet, because I will give you a 3-letter organization to consider. A 3-letter organization to consider. Courtesy of the New York Post. FBI abuses its security clearance to purge conservatives, and it views them as unworthy of employment, according to a whistleblower. The FBI is abusing its security clearance process to purge political conservatives from the Bureau, according to recent whistleblower disclosures reviewed by the Post. We'll see how long that person stays alive. The federal law enforcement agency's security division has been suspending or revoking clearances for employees whose politics, affiliation, or C virus vaccination status are suspect, a supervisory special agent who formerly worked in the division alleges. I believe it. I believe it because that organization appears to be completely infiltrated. The unnamed agent, who is described as a registered Democrat and is represented by the nonprofit Empower Oversight, further claims that high-ranking officials in the division believed if an FBI employee fit a certain profile as a political conservative, they were viewed as security concerns and unworthy to work at the FBI. Remember, after Biden won the election, that the FBI's watch list now also includes anyone who believes that there might have been interference in the election. That was made public shortly after the election. In the case of Marcus Allen, a former FBI staff operations specialist, suspended without pay for more than 2 years, the officials ignored possibly exculpatory information and overruled investigators who concluded SOS Allen's allegiance to the United States was not in question and that the suspension of his security clearance was not warranted. That decision came after Allen informed his supervisors at the FBI's Charlotte field office he did not intend to take the C virus vaccine. So he didn't want to take the vaccine, so they discharged him or put him on unpaid leave, and it's been 2 years now. Empower President Tristan Leavitt revealed in a letter to members of Congress on Tuesday that the supervisory special agent has since been retaliated against for disclosing the improper suspension and revocation of other employees' security clearances besides Allen's. Allen is just the example. The agent's full whistleblower disclosure and retaliation complaint was also submitted by Empower to the Department of Justice Office of the Inspector General and Office of Professional Responsibility on June 28th. Good luck. The outcomes of clearance investigations and adjudications were often predetermined by the division's acting deputy assistant director and the acting section chief responsible for security clearance investigations and adjudications, who often overruled line staff and even dictated the wording of documents in the clearance process. So, yeah, purging out people who don't fit the status quo or won't toe the line or might not toe the line the way they want it towed, despite the fact that they might be loyal to their country. Puck says FBI is thoroughly corrupted. There's no better than the Sicher Heingeist of World War II. Rodney says the purging happens here every time the Labor Party wins an election. Over time, all government departments have become stuffed with leftists. It's wrecked, the public service. I can imagine. And there is a certain amount of purging that goes on because you want to get rid of people who you assume are going to be troublemakers. But we've seen far more of that this time around than in any other presidency. And Dragon says the FBI has been doing this kind of stuff since J. Edgar Hoover. Yeah, no kidding. Urban says it's almost like everything is nearly in place for some sort of commie coup. The only thing standing in their way is Trump. Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps. But there they are, purging people again. Now, here's a subject I wanted to talk about yesterday. It's creepy, okay? This is creepy, but it's a public service announcement to warn you all to watch out. And it's something called Ento milk. Ento milk. I wanted to bring it up yesterday afternoon, but I didn't think we were going to have enough time. Okay? So we're going to give you De Novo Foods. I'm going to bring up the De Novo Foods. I'm going to show you their website here really quickly. We'll have a little bit of discussion about this. It's another public service announcement, another warning. I could do a whole separate video on this, But damn, no one will see it, huh? No one will see it. Thanks, ScrewTube. De Novo Food Labs, the future of nutrients. According to this, elevated nutrition inspired by nature, powered by science. At De Novo Food Labs, we are creating the next generation of nutritional solutions to elevate human health. Our proprietary precision fermentation technology allows us to create valuable compounds and nutrients that are naturally difficult to obtain through traditional means. We produce what the body needs. Boy, where have we heard that before? In the film Idiocracy, right? From rare proteins to isolated peptides, and we can do it anywhere without the need for animal agriculture. Our mission is to sustainably nutrify the planet. Okay. Our mission is to harness the power of our technology to develop essential nutrients, forging a path towards a healthier and more sustainable future for both humans and the planet. And it goes on, and it talks about lactoferrin, which is a protein found in cows' colostrum or first milk that has powerful health benefits. I'm going to stop it right there. Now, the reason why they're trying to imitate colostrum, okay, is so that they can make a substitute for breast milk, which has already been tried, which with formula, baby formula. But as I hope most of you are aware, baby formula is a poor substitute for actual natural human breast milk. It cannot be duplicated, okay? It cannot be duplicated. Urban says it's the new Soylent Green. Yeah, you're not that far off. Wait till you see where this is going. And Lantern and Liberty says ScrewTube. Exactly. ScrewTube is always messing me up. If I did a full video on this, it'd get like 100 views. Seriously. But still, you cannot replace that colostrum. You cannot replace natural breast milk. It's been tried and tried and tried. And the last time I looked at a label, I don't know if it's still there, but the last time I looked at a label for baby formula, it even tells you it's not a substitute for breast milk, even though a lot of women will go right to that formula and never even breastfeed, and they wonder why their kids are all screwed up. Okay, so De Novo Food Labs. Well, who is De Novo Food Labs? And where are they getting the proteins for this laboratory-grown God knows what? As I get ready to open this one, if it'll open, it's acting funny. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get this one open. And Puck says, if they think it's so great, let them eat and drink it. Leave me out. Yeah, that's what the Indian chief said in The Outlaw Josie Wales, when the snake oil salesman was trying to, when they were in town, and he tried to sell him a bottle of whatever crap he had in the for sale, and the Indian guy says, if it's so good, then you drink it. You drink it. He was right. And Lantern says 1960s far-fetched and horrible dystopia, 2020s. Let's try that. What could possibly go wrong? No kidding. And Mars says elevated nutrition. No way, dude. They can elevate. Yeah. D's. So here we go. And this is Go Get Us. Go Get Us. Okay. Which is Gourmet Grub, which was founded by Dr. Leah Bessa, which is now owned by De Novo Food Labs. Okay. So Dr. Leah Bessa had created something called Gourmet Grub, which is in South Africa, which creates, and here it is, high impact, innovative insect ingredient company focusing on creating dairy alternatives made from ethically farmed black soldier fly larvae. This is the company that is owned by De Novo. All right. She sold it out to De Novo. I love how they make this sound. Ethically farmed. black people, because it's South Africa, so black farms, black farmers, ethically farmed. Black. Oh, I'm sorry. Uh, I thought it said something else. Ethically, not what I thought. Black soldier fly larvae, maggots. Black soldier fly larvae. Anyone own chickens? And you get those grub feed bags. That's what that is. Okay, that's what that is. Rodney says de novo, man-made horrors beyond comprehension. And oh no, Puck, I'm not reading that. Helter says the most disturbing thing about this is that most people won't care. Well, they won't know to look at this. They won't know to read this. If they go and they buy their dairy alternative and it was made with Ento milk, Entomilk, Ento milk. They'll look at the ingredients. Oh, Ento milk, milk alternative. Oh, okay, duh. And what they won't realize is that it's a maggot shake. Basically, they liquefy maggots. They add some chemical substance to make it white and some flavoring so that you don't think anything is too off when you taste it. And Ento milk is being made not just as milk, but cheese and ice cream. Want a maggot ice cream, anybody? Now, why is this important? Puck says he thought the Nazis were defeated in 45. Yeah, you thought so, buddy. I got news for you. I got some bad news for you, my friend. Why is this important? I know. You will eat bugs. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. When that guy eats a cockroach sandwich, I'll take him seriously. You want to eat bugs? I don't care. Okay? But don't tell me to do it, especially if you won't. And Tuck says, personally, I've half a mind to sell bug meat to anyone who lacks the dignity to acknowledge this madness. And poor Rodney lost his appetite. Oh, no. Oh, no. Well, where does gourmet grub, and do you get it now? Gourmet grub, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and De Novo Food Labs tie in? For those of you who are watching, get ready for a big surprise. Here he comes. Who's that in the picture? Who's that in the picture? Collaborating with De Novo. Who's that in the picture? I'll let you off the hook for those of you who are listening and cannot see. That is Bill Gates. That is Bill Gates. And there are his soldier fly larvae. Raccoon says, look for a sheet of power in your ingredients list. That is cricket flour. That's right. And it has that chitin or whatever in it. And that's actually toxic for humans. It comes from where the wings are attached to their spine or whatever spine they have, because, you know, they have an endoskeleton. But that part of the endoskeleton is toxic in large quantities, and it cannot be separated. I mean, you can't imagine that when they harvest crickets, that some dude is sitting there with a little knife and cutting the wings off of all of them, right? It's getting ground up with the rest of it. You're eating that. And over time, it's bad for your liver. It's bad for your kidneys. It's bad for your digestive tract. It'll kill you. It'll kill you. It'll kill you. Kimberly says, wow, I would have never guessed old Billy Boy. No, you wouldn't have, huh? Mara says, the great and almighty Bill Gates. The great and powerful Oz. Ignore that man behind the curtain. Bill Gates launches his maggot milk for the general public. That's it. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has launched a new project that seeks to introduce maggot milk, at least this article's calling it what it is, into the food supply of the general public. The new, and there's what I was warning you about, ento milk is described as a dairy alternative that is made from black soldier fly larvae, aka maggots. The maggots are blended into a rich and creamy liquid, which looks and acts just like dairy, according to its creators. It's got a very creamy mouthfeel, a promotional video claims. Gates and his allies at the Legion of Doom headquarters argue that ento milk should replace traditional dairy milk because farming allegedly destroys the planet. Okay, we've been doing it for eons, but it's destroying the planet. The world needs alternatives to survive, the promo claims. Insects are vital for the future of food because they require very little land and they don't damage the environment like livestock. Their waste does. The waste has to go somewhere. They don't produce greenhouse gases, but they do produce toxic chemicals. And since there's no way to separate what's in those insects, people will be eating that. The video also argues that the world is going to struggle to produce enough food for the growing population. That's because farms and farmers, traditional farmers, are being hindered by their governments at every possible turn. Insects are a very viable option, it goes on to say. Globalists insist that feeding the general public ento milk will save the planet from climate change. You'll save the planet from climate change. Oh my God. Oh no. And this is a recent article. This only came out a couple of days ago. Just to let you know that this isn't some weird thing that was dug up from God knows when, okay? Fluke Man said, didn't Gates also say he wants to destroy all forests? That I'm not sure about. Donna says, old Bill Gates has a dad bod. You don't get that from bugs. No, you don't. And Raccoon says they say eating can cause a reaction like shellfish. The thing is, you're really not designed for it anyways. You're not designed to just eat bugs, okay? Humans are primarily omnivorous. You're more so designed to eat fruits and vegetables. That should be primary, but you can digest meat proteins, okay? The human body can digest meat proteins. But we're not possums. We're not possums, okay? A lot of animals in the animal kingdom, their digestive tract can break down just about any damn thing. All right, they can eat bugs all day. Rodents, possums, raccoons, animals like this. They're like garbage disposal units. Birds, your chickens can eat this and they'll be fine. And they'll lay eggs and your eggs will be good for you to eat. But our bodies are not really designed to digest stuff like this long term. It'll make us sick over time. It could kill us. Urban says insects carry many types of bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi that are extremely dangerous to humans. That is also true. There are microscopic insects within those insects that, again, we are not capable of digesting. You can feed this to possums all day. You eat this, 10 years down the line, you might be getting nailed into a box. Prime says, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but I like maggot milk in my cornflakes. Oh, no. Brian says he's moving to Mars. I don't blame you. I don't blame you because these people are insane. And he's not going to live like this. He's going to get a nice, fat, juicy steak. It's going to be just like in the film Soylent Green, where they have the supermarket is a guy behind a cage with armed guards, where the girl goes to get the steak and the fruit and the vegetables for dinner and takes that up to the apartment because they're in the 1%. And then everybody else has to eat the damn Soylent crackers. Soylent Green, Soylent Orange, Soylent Yellow, whatever they have. Each one's supposed to be made from something different. And the Soylent Green was supposed to be made from plankton, but it wasn't. I'm sure most of you are familiar with the film. These elitists will be eating fine. They'll be eating fine, but they want us to eat damn maggots. It's incredible. And a maggot milkshake is all it is. It's not milk either. I shouldn't even say milkshake. I shouldn't even say that much. But the way they make this sound, they are blended into a rich and creamy liquid, which looks and acts just like dairy. It's got a very creamy mouth feel. So it feels creamy in your mouth. What does it taste like? I notice it doesn't mention the odor or the taste anywhere in this commentary. Did you catch that? Nowhere does it say anything about the smell or the taste. I bet you it smells awful. It smells absolutely awful. Anybody take college biology? Anybody? Because the one thing that I remember about college biology is the dissections, okay? And dissecting the animals, dissecting a frog, whatever, there's no smell. It didn't really smell like anything. You anticipated that there would be a smell, but there really wasn't. But when we opened up those big grasshoppers, damn, man, those things stank. They stank. And Urban says, next up, mRNA cricket burgers. Yeah, I know. All right, well, you can make that with cockroaches. Dragon says, many candies already use bugs for the candy shell. Skittles has for years. And you don't need to do that because you can use, there's plenty of vegetation that can be used for coloring. There's plenty of vegetation that can be used for a coloring compound. Beets are often used to make things red or pink. You know what I mean? And Prime Mover says maybe they'll start serving maggot lattes at Starbucks. Well, you know what? That's the funny part. They'll call it Ento milk, the milk alternative, and all the little young hippies won't know what the hell that means. Like, I'll get Ento milk in my latte, and won't know that they're drinking basically pureed maggots. They won't know that nobody looks this stuff up. Nobody looks this stuff up. Nobody reads the ingredients on the package. And if they see something suspect or like, what's this? And then goes and looks up the definition of the word, if it's something that they don't recognize or can't pronounce even sometimes, because they come up with some weird stuff. And I've done that before. I look at it and what the hell is this stuff? Oh, I'm not eating this. But people don't do that. They're not discerning enough. They're not responsible enough, even for their own health and lives. Fluke Man says consuming insects takes food away from arachnids, birds, and many other predators. Well, they're going to farm them. You know, they'll put rudimentary protein into a bin and farm them in these open. It's hard to describe. It's like a raised garden. If you've ever seen, raised garden beds, like a warehouse full of raised garden beds where the boxes are full of bugs and it's closed on the top, and they dump the rudimentary protein in there and the bugs eat them, and then they scoop it out and just grind them up. It's really pretty disgusting the way that it's handled. And Tuck wants to leave the Ento milk to the leptomaniacs. And Puck says humans aren't meant to consume insects, period, end of story. Yeah, we're really not. You accidentally do. I mean, even like in your breakfast cereal, you eat enough things that are made with wheat or wheat flour. Eventually, there's going to be some level of insect ground up in there. It's unavoidable. Rice, whatever, any kind of harvested vegetable, there's a chance there's a bit of this or a bit of that in there somewhere, even if it's microscopic, ground up like in flour. But your body can absorb that because it's a minute amount. If you're sitting there eating cockroach burgers and drinking Ento milkshakes every day, it's going to catch up with you pretty quick and your liver's going to fail. I don't trust that stuff at all. It's crazy. It's crazy what they're trying to do to us. Rodney says, I, for one, don't want to drink a maggot shake. All the more reason to move off grid and plant your own garden. I don't blame you. And they make ice cream. They make ice cream. I looked it up. I don't have it pulled up, but I looked it up. They have Ento milk ice cream. How gross is that? How gross is that? Ento milk ice cream. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Oh, this, I love this. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up. I found something. You'll get a kick out of this. Let me see if I can get this to pull up. This is Business Insider. It calls the Ento milk ice cream. Hey, insect milk ice cream exists, and apparently it tastes really good. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It tastes really good, folks. Yummy, yummy. And this goes back to Gourmet Grub. See? South African-based startup Gourmet Grub sells ice cream created with Ento milk, a dairy alternative made from black soldier fly larvae. And remember, Gourmet Grub is De Novo Foods, and De Novo Foods is now merged with Billy Boy. Billy Boy. The dessert is filled with protein, so is ice cream, vitamins and minerals, and is more environmentally friendly to make the traditional ice cream, according to the company's website. God gave us about a half a dozen animals that produce milk, okay? And we want to do everything else. Cows, goats, sheep, they ain't good enough for you. They ain't good enough for you. He's sitting in the other realm. What is wrong with these people? I gave you alternatives. You want to drink bugs? Okay, go on and die then. Gourmet Grub ice cream is the only insect-based food on the market, with everything from protein bars to corn chips that is available online. Oh my God. Some bug corn chips. Bug corn chips. I'll leave that right there. Anybody wants some bug? If it's insects, it ain't corn, is it? Where do you get corn chips from? Where do you get? Tuck says these bug farms are only going to be profitable because of massive subsidies and grants. Sound familiar? Yes, it sounds exactly like solar and wind power. And you are correct. You are correct. And Rodney made a donation to the channel. He says, here's a buck for the kitties. Very much appreciated. You see Daniel is sleeping soundly back there. Daniel is sleeping soundly. Little guy is not in the room right now. He's asleep in the living room. And again, his paws have healed. The scabs are gone from his little paws. Poor thing. And Puck says, no one is stopping them from eating the crap, but you try to force it on me, you'll be eating lead. I don't blame you, Puck. I don't blame you. That is disgusting. And again, your body really isn't designed to digest large quantities of that sort of a thing. And Brian wants us to know that the combined amount of weight of all ants in the world exceeds all humans. All humans. But with that, we are at the top of the hour. Remember, read your labels, folks. Know what you are getting yourself into when you buy your food. Know what you're getting yourself into. So Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk. You can find the live portion of which on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on fistfulofradio.com. You can find us on X at Coffee Talk Chat. Thanks again to Rodney for making a donation to the channel. Always helpful. I need all the help I can get, especially with all these felines, 20 of them now, that I'm trying to take care of until we can get some of them adopted. Thank you, everyone else, for joining the stream. Hope you got something out of the conversation.